All right. Well, welcome to Guerrilla Discipleship. I've got a guest you've already met if you've watched last week, Emily March. She's a counselor with Centerpoint Counseling. Her office is right here at Oakdale Church. She also does, I think you also do counseling online. So you can get a virtual appointment or an in-person appointment. And we've been talking about, we've been hearing Emily's story, and we're going to continue to pick up where we were last week. So glad you're here, glad you're joining us. One of the things that I think we've been trying to say and encourage here at Oakdale and through Guerrilla Discipleship is that one of the greatest things that we are given if we're parents is the opportunity to disciple our kids. Would you say much about that? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. How do you disciple your kids?
Well, like what I said earlier when you asked me about discipleship and evangelism, right? Evangelism is sharing your faith and you're using words if necessary. So the main way we disciple our kids is how we live. A lot of people don't like that.
Right.
Because we can't live perfect lives. But every time how much grace do we give ourselves? How much grace do we give our kids? How much forgiveness do we show when someone offends us? Are we quick to forgive? Are we following what Christ has shown us in how to love God and put Him first in our life? And remember that He's always with us, and trust that He's doing good things. Trust that He knows what's happening, and also loving one another around us, the grace and the forgiveness, and being able to have a soft heart and empathize with someone who's hurting, right? How much are we modeling this? Because our lives is the way we disciple our children.
Yeah.
Our children don't do what we say, not what we want them to do what we say, not what we do, right? That's the whole line that I've heard, but that's not the natural way that life happens.
Yeah. I would say also that I disagree with Francis of Assisi. I think it takes both actions and words.
Oh, sure.
And one of the things that we say to people is we try to teach a Shema lifestyle to people, which is out of Deuteronomy 6, where in Shema, we say a Shema lifestyle is both actions and words. It's serving others, but then making sure that we, in some way that's relationally, organically shared, that because if you're stopped on the side of the road and you got a flat tire and I stop to help you, you're going to be, oh my gosh, you're such a good person. But I have the opportunity to say, you know what, I really was just trying to bless you because God has blessed me and He's invited me to bless others. So if I can somehow, in a very relational way, not a preachy way, but just say, that's not true. I mean, I'm as selfish as anybody else, but the Lord continually calls me to love others well. And so I want Him to get the credit. And I think that whole Deuteronomy passage, teach these things, talk about these things with your kids as you go through. It's not only you're right, we too often, and again, here's my thing about the church, we have relegated the church disciple my kids, but we can't. We can be partners with parents, but we really need to strengthen what you're doing because we have them for an hour or two a week and you have them for all the rest of the time, and you're more important to them than we will ever be. And that's the way it should be. They're going to say, well, this is what my mom says, or this is what my dad says, and this is what my mom, and we don't ever want to be in the place where we're in between you and your kids, the parents and the kids. So we want to be able to encourage them to, do what your mom and dad, listen to what your mom and dad are doing. That's one of the great commandments with a promise to honor them. And so I think that one of the things that we're trying to do through this podcast is to just rethink some things, to get away from the perversions, the lies, the deceit, the twistings that the enemy constantly is doing. We don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, the church is no good. It's not that. It's that we've got to continually examine how have we allowed the enemy to come in and just fool us enough to say that we're still doing the right things, and yet we've really maybe we have dropped the baby out of the bathwater, kind of. So anyway, I love that. Have you ever seen, I wouldn't want you to ever say, of course, I know you would never do anything, names or anything like that, but have you seen people who have come to you for relational counseling in some ways who have not been believers, who have come to know Christ?
Personally, no.
No?
No.
Have you seen people who have, in your practice, have you seen people whose faith has been strengthened because you've helped them to get through some relational battles? And
Yes,
yeah,
that I have seen.
You've seen that. What would you say? Now I'm going to just veer into your specialty, and I want your opinion on a couple of things. What's the biggest struggle? What's the common theme that you see in marriages that causes struggle? Or themes, it could be more.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take a back step real quick. When you mentioned the Shema, my favorite part of the Shema is the same refrain that I see throughout the entire 66 books that we have of Scripture. And that's the part where it says to write it on your doorsteps, talk about it when you get up and when you lay down, because we have to remember. And remembering is, I think, one of the most important things, because humans, we tend to forget.
Yeah.
Right? We tend to forget very, very quickly. And one of the most destructive pieces of any relationship is when we forget the positive. And so I talk about how we need to remember. That's my favorite word. I use it every hour of every day, no matter who I'm talking to, because somewhere in there we have forgotten some important truth that is going to help us understand the situation that we're in a little differently.
So the pain that I'm experiencing in my marriage or in my relationship, I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I can be so focused on that I forget all of the joy and the reasons why we're together in the first place, or why I chose this person in the first place.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Is there a remembering cycle, a remembering discipline that you would advise people in marriages to? I mean, I'm being serious. Like, sit down once a week and just say, let's just think about. I mean, we know. I think neuroscience now tells us that gratitude actually is good for us in lots of ways. Bible's constantly told us that, but now science is proving it. We can believe it, right?
Caught up.
Is there something about cycles of gratitude in marriage and relationships that would be
huge?
And how do you tell people to do that? What is there a way to do that?
Yeah. Okay. So when I was in college and I was studying all the different ways of doing marriage and family therapy, right? There's like different models you can work from. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is really, really popular. There's been a lot of research about it, and it's shown to be really effective. CBT is the way my brain works, and it fit my understanding of how of Scripture too, because basically what CBT is it's looking at all the automatic negative thoughts that come in, and being able to recognize what they are and then confronting them and asking yourself, there's a lot more to it, but asking yourself kind of, what's the evidence for this? What's the evidence against this? And then remembering all the extra things that are being left out, right? And so this, basically, in a nutshell, what we're talking about is discernment. Because if we go back to Adam and Eve, when Eve was confronted with, well, this isn't going to do what you thought it was going to do. It's not going to kill you. immediately, which wasn't said, but it's going to give you the knowledge of good and evil. What she did not do was remember. Because when we hear these little truths mixed with these implied lies, what's really happening is all the information that is going to help us discern the truth from the lie is being left out. Right? But if we remember, wait, God did say that, but he also walks with me every day. He also showed me this. He also gave me this. He also does all of these other things in my life, all these other truths about God. That's going to help her understand that, hey, maybe that might be true, but it's not what I need. It's not what I want, because God's given me what I need, and he told me that.
That's really good.
And he told me not to do this, and he wants me to obey, right? And so remembering all these things. So yes, when we get so focused on the negatives, it's unbalanced. Because in every situation, there's negatives to that situation, but there's also positives. It's like when I ask someone to tell me about their day, and they tell me the 3 negative things that happened that day. And I go, okay, that was about 15 minutes of your day. What else happened?
Right.
And they're like, what?
But there is something to that. As a pastor, I could have 10 great things happen in a week, and one person could come up with a really critical thing, and I'm going to dwell on the critical thing rather than the 10. What is that? Just our fallen nature in your thinking?
No. It's the way our brain works. It's our brains are set up for survival. And so if our brains are set up for survival, we're looking around for anything negative to be aware of.
Wow.
We have to pay attention, because if there's a pitfall, we don't want to fall into it.
That makes sense. So again, I want to kind of begin to wrap this back to, what does all of this crazy stuff have to do with making disciples? Our God is such a relational God, right? He's a relationship with himself, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. He created us to have a relationship with. And if we can maybe balance, I'll try and be balanced in my approach here. If we can balance some of the ways that we've heard, evangelism is down to giving the 4 spiritual laws, which doesn't always feel very relational, right? Handing a tract to someone, telling them what to believe. But Jesus was very relational. He invited those disciples before they had acknowledged that he was the Lord or the Messiah. He's like, just come and stay with me. Come and follow me. Come and be with me. And see, it's almost like that taste and see that the Lord is good. And it feels like we've gotten away from that invitation in the church. We keep saying, come and align all these theological truths in your life, and then we can walk together. But it's like, hey, just come and taste to see that the Lord's good. And one of the ways that I think we can do that really well is living relationships out very well. Because everybody wants relationships. We have to have relationships. That I can remember when I was in college, undergrad, that whole failure to thrive. You cannot thrive without relationships. Babies can't survive without human touch, without connection. So we need relationships. Isolation is the tool of the enemy. Bad things happen when we're isolated, when we are isolated in our thinking, isolated in our relationships. So if we can just keep thinking, the more I live healthy relationally, the more I'm giving witness to who the kingdom is, or what the kingdom is, and who the king is. And really making disciples is just, it's bridging, it's being a friend. It's like what I'm doing here. I love this friend of mine, Emily, because she's so good at so many things, and she's helped me and my wife in so many ways. I want you to meet her. And I can tell you some of the things that Emily has done in my life that's helped me. That's how we make disciples of other people. It's just like, there's this guy, Jesus, that has rescued me. And he keeps rescuing me over and over again. He keeps blessing me, keeps loving me. And I just why would I not want to introduce the people that I know and love to a friend like that, for them to have at least exposure to him? And to do it organically. Not one of the things that I say all the time is that we want to be spiritually obvious without being obnoxious. All of us have met spiritually obnoxious people. And even Christians, right? We have a hard time putting up with spiritually obnoxious people ourselves. We just don't nobody likes to be around an obnoxious person. But But I think, again, to try and track this the way that Emily has said it, the enemy has said to us, don't wear your faith out publicly. Don't be too obvious with your faith. It might offend people. You've got to be careful about that. There's a place for that. The culture might say things like, look, religion is a private matter. But Jesus invited us to boldness and to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. That's the greatest command, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. So it seems to me that this is just an odd thing to say, but that I don't know where you were originally in your thinking about this, but that God has got you in exactly the right place as helping people with relationships, because they're so foundational to the kingdom. Maybe you're ending up doing it more with folks who believe than with the folks who aren't. But the more you strengthen them, the more hopefully that is going to show a great picture of the kingdom to the world. That's so exciting to me.
It is exciting. It's really fun. And there's something that I want to say about that. An encouragement is something to remember, that no one fits inside the box. Society, one of the lies that we are being indicted with over and over again is that we have to be a certain way. We have to be different than who we are and how we are right now, and that we can't really be who God made us to be. And that's a lie. We can be exactly who we are because the way that we feel people should be, right? It feels like there's this little box that we have to be able to fit into. But no one in this entire world actually fits inside that particular box.
I love that.
And so if we can remember that, and remember that it's okay to be me, and that nobody fits, that everybody's feeling the same way I am, in a sense, in this regard, it helps us have more courage to do what's a little scary.
I love that. I love that, Emily. I want to ask one more question, and then we're gonna go. What would you tell parents? Or do you have a word of parents, especially parents of preschoolers? It's such a crazy time of life. It's exhausting in so many different levels. Give a word of encouragement to parents of preschoolers in whatever way that God, whatever way the Holy Spirit is leading you to.
Yeah. Another one of my remembers that I say a lot is remember that this is not for forever. In any given situation, a really common automatic negative thought is that this is going to be forever. We have this fear of forever, that this situation is never going to end. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
That is just a lie. Our lives are full of seasons, just like outside is. Just like right now, it's like 25 degrees, but in 2 days, it's going to be 50.
Yeah.
And so when we are in that season of having toddlers and little kids, it feels like it's never going to end, but it does. And it ends actually a lot faster than what we want.
Yeah.
Later on, we're like, oh, actually, that wasn't so bad. But in the middle of it, it's so hard to remember that.
Yeah.
But remembering that this is a season, we can do more than we think we can for a short time.
Wow, that's good.
And so often that's helpful to remember.
That reminds me of a song. I don't know who it is that sings it. It almost makes me cry every time I hear it. It's You're Gonna Miss This. It's some country song.
Oh.
And it's a mom and her teenage daughter in high school, and she's complaining about something. And the line is, "You're gonna miss this." And then
when she's gone.
Then you're gonna miss this period of your life. And then the daughter gets married, and she's with her dad complaining about how hard it is. They're living in this tiny little apartment, barely enough money, and he says, "You're gonna miss this." And then she has kids, and it's exactly that. Like I can't. These kids are driving me crazy. It's laundry everywhere. You're gonna miss this, and I think. And I just as you were talking, Emily, just that whole Jesus. He does so many things. The Lord's Supper, he tells us, hey, do this in remembrance of me. There is something that we need. Maybe there's a big part of our gathering as Christians just to say, let's just remember the goodness of God. Let's remember all the things that he's done for us.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Emily, thank you. Thank you so much for this. I can't recommend enough. I know this is not what we normally do here on Guerrilla Discipleship, but if you are looking for a wonderful counselor, a wonderful person about, and I would say primarily relationships, right? Marriage, parenting, those kinds of relationships. Centerpoint Counseling, is it Centerpoint online? Centerpoint.org?
Centerpointcounseling.org.
Centerpointcounseling.org. You'll see Emily there. I don't know if she's taking new clients or not, and you might see this later on. Who knows when you'll see this? But anyway, there's lots of great counselors there. But
anyone at Centerpoint, we all have the same conversations every month about spiritual integration and really allowing God to work through us. And I would recommend any of us.
Not everyone, I guess, is focused just on relationships. There are folks there that are dealing with more mental health issues as well. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot. We're all different. We all have different things.
Different specialties. So you can see, but Centerpoint Counseling, great organization, and can't recommend Emily enough, though. All right.
Well,
hey,
thanks for having me.
Oh, my gosh. Maybe we'll do this again. Thank you so much for being a part of the Guerrilla Discipleship family. As always, you can email me, kbaker@oakdale.church, or you can make comments here. We want this to be helpful for you as you become more and more the person that God created you to be. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.